It's Sunday, March 4th. Welcome to Pastor Bob Daly. You know, there's a phrase that we use way too often. The phrase, God told me. You've heard it a lot, haven't you? People throw it around like crazy, and it's really become one of those Christian buzzwords, especially in circles where people try to be a little more spiritual. And I've seen that phrase used over and over and over again. I have good friends that use it. I had some good friends that used it this week. And you know, it's really frustrating to me when I hear somebody say, God told me, and then to see whatever he told them to do not work out. Whatever he said he was going to give them, it doesn't happen. I know a pastor who said, God told me we're going to build a new church. And they borrowed $5 million to do it. And I just cringe at that. I think, you know, if God really told you to build a new church, then why would he tell you to borrow $5 million to do it? God doesn't need that money. He can give it to you just as easily. What about the scripture about borrowing money? I know I'm stepping on some toes here, and I know I'm going to get in trouble for this one. But folks, I just think we have to be honest. You know, the question that we ought to ask each other is, did God really tell you? And when you hear somebody say, God told me, and later on it doesn't come to pass, you ought to remind them. And when people that I know say God told me and then it doesn't happen, I have two questions for them. Did God really tell you? Because if he did, stick with it. And if he didn't, don't be so quick to say God told me next time. Now, obviously most of us are saying, you know, well, it just doesn't look good for people around us when we say God told me and it doesn't happen. You know, it's a very bad witness, and that is true. But folks, it goes deeper than that. It goes to the core of our faith. You know, I can't live my faith in my head. My head and my heart have to meet. My faith needs to be not only real, but honest. If God is honestly speaking to me, and if he's honestly telling me to do something, then it will come to pass. Why? Because God doesn't make mistakes. If I keep saying God told me and it doesn't happen, then I have a problem, not God. And I need to honestly take a look at my own faith and my own understanding of how God speaks. You see, that's the crisis. It's a crisis of personal faith. Whether you're a pastor or a Christian leader or simply someone who's sitting in church listening, we need to be careful who we follow and how we lead. And this phrase, God told me, needs to be used very rarely and only in situations where we're sure that he's told us. Now, I've used this phrase before, and I've used it wrongly before, many times. And some of you that know me out there will say, yep, I remember a few times. I've learned this lesson. Well, I'm learning this lesson. You know, I know that there are some things that God has absolutely told me, and I'm following them today, and they're working out. In fact, I can think of a couple right now that I can't wait to share with you, but I will one day. But folks, the bottom line is this. God is perfect. God doesn't make mistakes. If you have truly heard him telling you to do something, it will happen. And if it doesn't happen, you didn't hear him correctly. So let's be careful when we say that next time. Let's be really careful. And let's be sure that it's honestly God talking. God bless you. Have a great day.